Keir Starmer has as much trouble defining a working person as he has defining a woman. I can define myself. I am a woman and I'm granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. Let's start with Keir Starmer's definition of a working person. Actually, no, I'm going to start a little bit earlier with a very telling little comment. Let's just hear this.
Look, but what we are going to do, it's really important that we fix the foundations. We've got to clear up this mess once and for all, and then...
Okay, and that in itself is a bad sign. We've got to clear up this mess, the financial mess he says Britain is in, once and for all. And that is a very socialist way of looking at something. That is, you can fix society, and when you've fixed it, that'll be it. Everything will be fine. After that, smooth rolling all the way. There is a socialist paradise which you can reach, and then that's the end of it. You don't need to do any more. There is no such thing as change. The whole thing about communism is stasis. It really is. And they talk about being progressive and all the rest of it, but if you know if you've been on my channel for any length of time, you will know I'm constantly talking about visual clues. I use fashion to illustrate things sometimes. I talk about how people dress or what things look like. And one of the things that always struck me most forcibly were the various badges and icons of the Communist Party. Oh, hang on a minute. This isn't a prop, actually. I was hanging a hook on the wall to hang some cables off so they weren't trailing on the ground. But anyway, yeah, working people are people who have hammers. Oh, what's this? Yeah. Working people are people who have hammers and sickles, probably, and this is the socialist idea of the working man. You know, that muscular communist vision of the fellow in overalls with a hammer in his hand, and then that muscular aproned woman holding a sickle aloft with her hair streaming out behind her. And that's the socialist idea of a working person. They all involved a lot of hammers, cogs, sickles, that sort of thing, which were at the time high tech, well, especially all the cogs. But we're way past that right now, aren't we? We went from the cogs to the transistors, and now we're into nanobots. But the communist mindset is still stuck in that cog mentality. For instance, one of the reasons the Communist Party started losing ground in the 80s is because they had developed this early 20th century way of controlling information. And when somebody came up with various forms of photocopier, they didn't like that, because that way you could photocopy forbidden literature. So they made photocopiers next to impossible to access for ordinary people. And the Soviet Union lost information ground on that. People couldn't reproduce forbidden literature, but they also couldn't reproduce scientific papers, and the whole thing fell apart. Right, well, that's the mindset of a Labour Party type mind. And Keir Starmer still has that hammer and sickle mindset, as you will see from this, when he's asked what is a working person.
Prime Minister, are you a working person?
Well, I would define a working person as somebody who goes out and earns their living, usually paid in a sort of monthly check. But I think that's obviously very broad. So
here he's talking, a working person, according to his definition, is somebody who gets a salary, who is employed by somebody else, not somebody who uses his own initiative to employ other people or to invent things. And because that's the 19th century, the Marxist definition of a working person, somebody who goes to the factory and who obviously has to hate the cigar smoking, top hat wearing factory owner.
Let me be clear, what I mean, or if you like, who I have in my mind's eye when I make decisions as Prime Minister, are the sorts of working people who go out, work hard, and maybe save a bit of money, but don't have the wherewithal to write a cheque to get out of difficulties if they and their family get into difficulties.
To write a cheque? I mean, to write... who writes cheques? OK. But you can see the attitude he has. Low-paid, employed people. That's what he's talking about. Anyone with any initiative to start up his own business, that's not a working person in his idealised 19th century world. Labour made a solemn vow not to raise taxes for working people. This means no increases in income tax, national insurance or VAT for those lucky people. But who actually are Britain's working people? It seems even the Prime Minister is having difficulty sticking to a definition that suits his party. Well, because there is no definition. This guy, for instance, he says, I work 50 hours a week as a landlord. It's an insult to say we're not working people. And this woman here, she's a single mother and she has one flat in some holiday place in the south of England. Did she say Cornwall or Devon? And she goes down there, she looks after it and she rents it out, and that's part of her income. She says a working person under Sir Keir's interpretation goes out and earns their living, usually paid in a sort of monthly cheque. But they don't have the means to write a cheque to get out of difficulties. His claim is nothing short of ridiculous, as anyone who's ever spent hours fixing a leaking shower or dealing with the growing red tape in the rental sector knows. And correct me if I'm wrong, but surely the whole point of working hard is to ensure that we can write a cheque in order to solve a problem. I'd like to invite Sir Keir to roll up the sleeves of his designer suit that he may or may not have paid for and join me as I repaint the walls of my buy-to-let property in rural Cornwall with my 6-year-old in tow this weekend. The whole problem with the Labour Party is, first of all, a spite for the posh folks, and then a lack of ability to define what actually a posh folk is. There's a sort of theoretical Platonic universe by the socialist standards where there's these rich people and they don't work. Do you know, when this is a while ago, well, quite a while ago, we were living in London when we'd first moved there. We were renting on the edges of Hampstead Garden Suburb. It wasn't in Hampstead Garden Suburb, but it was very close to it. And I used to go jogging every morning. And now my husband went to work early and the kids had to be got ready for school. So I'd be out there at 6 a.m. jogging through Hampstead Garden Suburb because it's a pretty place to jog through. And as I was jogging past all these houses that cost way out of anything I could have even dreamed of affording, and there were all these nice, neat houses and all these lovely gardens, and the people there, if you live in Hampstead Garden Suburb, yeah, you're pretty well off. And every single one of them had a lovely car in the drive, and it was revving up at 6, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. These guys were getting into their cars to go to work. They were rich, they were posh, they were everything that the Labour Party would say were exploitative capitalists. And they were going out to work at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Every day I saw them doing that. I found it very impressive, the way those people worked. And they worked for their money. And yet people like Sir Keir would consider them not working people at all. Right. Till next time, you can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.